Okay, hello everyone. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as YouTube channel, Spiritual. So I am going to go into the topic for the day, speaking on Nostradamus, and I am on a website, and I'm gonna try to just read around. I'm not gonna, read off a lot of the information verbatim. So, who was Nostradamus? Well, then his name was Michel de Nostradamus, born December 1503 to July 1566. So, this person was born in the what? Is that the 16th century? I want to say. So, he was a French astrologer, apothecary, physician, and a reputed seer who is known best for his book, Les Prophéties, a collection of 942 poetic quatrains allegedly predicting future events. So it goes on to mention that he had Jewish, uh, his father's family had been Jewish but converted to Catholic Christianity before he was born. He studied at the University of Avignon and was forced to leave after just a year when the university closed due to an outbreak of the plague. Now, I mentioned before in a previous episode about the bubonic plague or Black Death or Black Plague that occurred between the 1300s and I want to say up until the 1600s from what I researched. So it says he went on to work as an apothecary for several years before entering into University of Montpellier, hoping to earn a doctorate. And it goes on to mention that he was expelled from his works. He had a first wife. He married with two children. They died during this plague. So he worked alongside doctors, it mentions, and regarding this plague, and he wrote an almanac. It goes on to mention, and he continued to write in regarding the success of what was to come in future years as he began working as an astrologer. That's what it has here. So his writings was placed in a book form, The Les Prophecies, which was published in 1555. He relied heavily on historical and literal precedent and initially received mixed reception. So it goes on to mention that he had some health challenges or what have you. He ended up dying in July of 1566. So, based on what I have researched or what have you, because I have read a couple of books regarding this Nostradamus person, well, I'm going to tell you, you know, old self versus new self. This is God, believe it or not. And it's going to show you spirits and spirits types. It's what it's going to show you. And I'm sorry, let me close this out here. My tarot. Okay. So, to give you my spiritual sense, I do believe that we are all spiritual forces or beings. And I do believe that when someone is notable, they keep an account of their life, what occurred moments in time in history. And that's why you would get them in book form. They will write about them. It's more or less like a timeline. Um, Also on TV as well is to give an account about what transpired with this person. So would you say that was a false prophet? Would you say that was a false prophet? Would you say that um, it was something to get you to think about some things that transpired, moments in time in history. Would you say that this person was a distraction piece to a system or to a time in existence? Well, I'm going to say that I do believe that this person was a spirit, such as we all are, but I do believe it was something significant with this particular person as to why they would write down this person in history, such as this Jesus or Yahweh or whatever you may refer to him as. Now I'm not going to go too in depth as to the background, but I'm just going to give you my spiritual sense as to what I feel that is. So I do believe that this person, Nostradamus, was God's way of giving you a critical thinking sensibility about what this person navigated to in terms of a spiritual duty or a spirit related job field is what I'm going to tell you. I'm also going to tell you that I believe that in essence, this person was giving you a synopsis about depopulation. That's what I'm going to tell you. So it goes on to say that after a visit to Italy, Nostradamus began to move away from medicine and towards the occult. Following popular trends, he wrote an almanac for 1550, the first time in print, Latinizing his name to Nostradamus. He was so encouraged by the almanac's success that he decided to write one or more annually. Taken together, they are known to have contained at least 6,338 prophecies, as well as at least 11 annual calendars, all of them starting on January the 1st, and that is sometimes supposed in March. It was mainly in response to the almanacs that the nobility and other prominent people from far away soon started asking for horoscopes and psychic advice from him. He generally expected his clients to supply the birth charts on which they would be based, rather than calculating them himself as a professional astrologer would have done when obliged to attempt this himself on the basis of the published tables of the day. He frequently made errors and failed to adjust the figures for his client's place or time of birth. So I feel as though death was on him, is what I feel, because revelation had came to him and they ostracized him for what the revelation, what I feel. So can we honestly say that this person could it actually be a reenactment or reincarnate of Jesus? When you are able to foresee um, deception, false prophet, false doctrine, even. Now, do I believe he himself was a false prophet or a false doctrine? No, I believe his sensibility was to give you a synopsis about contrast, belief versus none, real versus none is what I feel. And this is why, because if he wasn't of any relevance, why would he exist in the first place? Why would you even put this information up here? And hear me out and hear me well. Because I do understand that anybody can post things on the internet. But I do believe we are all spiritual, whether it be favorable or not. And I do believe that it was a way to provide contrast to what was popular. If it's of God, why we have all this blood, this death that was occurring? Because again, this happened during moments in time in history, around about the bubonic plague and things of that sort. So he was pretty much I believe he was telling on those who thought they knew what they were doing, and essentially they did not. And what they were doing is depopulating. That's what I feel. And he was given an account and a record as to moments in time in history and what things transpired during moments in time in history, despite what you know people like or want to be conveyed. Like we oftentimes as people, you got some people that always want to hear the negative in life. And many people may frown upon that. You got some people they always want to hear the positive in life. And you got people that may frown upon that. But I think um you got people that are set to the positive, and you got some people that are set to the negative. And he was less like a balance, like a medium. Like he was able to foresee things, and I do believe God was putting vision within him to make account of things that are to come. It's what I feel about moments in time in history. Is what I feel. It was something significant about this person. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So again, I believe it was God, and I believe that although we may see this person we refer to as Nostradamus, Michel de Nostradamus, ultimately you have same people that are like-minded as that gravitates to astrology, apothecary, and things of that sort. So let me look up this word apothecary. Um, a person who prepares and sold medicines and drugs. So again, I think I feel as though this entity or this spirit was essentially telling on systems. That's what I feel. To give you the ability to critical think, to give you the ability to understand, despite of. Okay, well, they say this over here, but over here, this is what I see. Okay, they say da 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 da, but then I see diddy diddy diddy. So I honestly feel as though they this person possibly, as mentioned in the information here, started out right, and revelation came to this person right away, and it was like, okay, so what are you going to do now? I think this possibly transpired on a vast scale, and then the advent of the so-called translated, and I hate the word so-called, please forgive me for saying that, and then the advent of the transatlantic slave trade came about, what, beginning in the what, 1500s even. So I honestly feel as though it was energy was happening at on a global scale, but we're going to focus on this particular area. Something transpired mental, spiritually. That's what I feel. To forefront this depopulation because of a lack of knowledge and know-how and initiative to get up and to do and to educate oneself is what I feel. That essentially is what that was. Like a lack of, as they say, for a lack of knowledge, my people shall perish. So I do believe this is God by way of. I do. I honestly can wholeheartedly tell you that's what I feel that it is. Um, this Nostradamus person is such as that. He is a spirit by way of God that has been given a name, and this is how you will end up damning yourself. This is how you will end up damning yourself. This is the reason why they got rid of us. This is why we went to hell. Michelle, this is why we went to hell. This is what transpired with us. They instituted these things and they obliterated us because of this, is what it lets me know. And it is telling on the name. You would do it without even thinking about it. And when you sit back and it takes people who are in astrology, psychic, mediumship to decipher it and give a damn, this is history in the making. Believe what presents to you. Just sit back and pay attention. So I believe that's basically what that was. That's basically what that was. Things that transpired, moments in time in history. History will repeat itself. But I think people are not that stupid as the energy force or source may want you to believe. So then we implemented more things. Okay, so we implemented that. Okay, now what you gonna do now? Okay, then what you gonna do now? That's what I feel. Essentially, it was a depopulation that occurred massively. I mean, catastrophically, even. That's what I feel. So I am going to go ahead. I'm going to conclude this episode of Spiritual Sense, speaking about Nostradamus and the prophecies that he predicted. So, I've read and I've watched programs and documentaries about some of the things that he predicted, and I honestly feel as though those were threats. And it was a critical thinking to give you a sensibility as to what spirits will circumvent that. So a lot of people will have you thinking to be a quote conspiracy theorist will means that you yourself will go and encourage or even carry out such acts. That's not necessarily the truth. You are a watcher. That means you're able to see spirit and know spirit, and you'll begin to able to see it on a more personal, everyday walks of life, as well as on an astronomical spiritual entity, and systems and things of that sort as well. So that is not necessarily that you are to go out here and commit these acts. No, this is a critical thinking tool to get you to see those who are doing as such. So I think that's essentially what that is. So I'm gonna go ahead and conclude this episode of Spiritual Sense, speaking on Nostradamus. He foreseen some things that transpired, um, as it mentions. I want to say, the I want to say some inventions that transpire and some catastrophic events. I'm not going to go into details as to what it is that he's seen and what it is that he foretold, according to some books as well as some programs I've watched. Many of his prophecies came to pass. Also, I want to say that I believe that you got some intelligences within this spectrum that have that same sensibility as he. So, can we honestly say that we're writing these things under this person's name? But entities are in place because they're able to know what this new world order, and what this life experience is all about. But we're calling it this person here, if that makes any sense to anybody. This is God by way of, and He works favorably as well as none. And you want to make sure you're on the more favorable sense of the spectrum than not. So I'm going to conclude this episode on Spiritual Sense. Have any questions or suggestions? You're more than welcome to comment below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.